When you build a house, you kind of expect to have a blueprint.
No, definitely. You need a strict, specific set of lines that tells you exactly where, the load-bearing walls go.
Exactly. And for decades, we've basically been told there is a blueprint just like that for almost every great story ever told.
Right, this legendary pattern that supposedly unlocks everything from ancient, forgotten myths to, well, modern cinematic blockbusters.
But what if I told you that the famous framework used to build all those epics is actually considered highly toxic by the academics who study global myths?
It is a fiercely contested piece of intellectual real estate for sure. I mean, the divide between the people who use this blueprint to write stories and the people who study the cultural origins of stories, it's just massive.
Well, welcome to today's deep dive. We are unpacking the monomyth, which is famously known as the hero's journey.
It's a huge topic.
It really is.
Yeah.
And our overview for today involves looking at a pretty wild stack of sources. We've got metadata from a widely shared Wikipedia diagram of the journey's steps, excerpts from Joseph Campbell's seminal 1949 book, The Hero with a Thousand Faces.
Including that incredible introduction by Clarissa Pinkola Estes.
Yes, exactly. And we're pairing all of that with a fiercely critical blog post by folklorist Gina Jorgensen.
Which really shakes things up.
It does. So our mission today is to decode this legendary storytelling pattern, dig into the profound psychological roots behind it, and then examine the serious blind spots that critics argue are fundamentally flattening our understanding of global cultures.
Because whether you are a writer, an avid movie buff, or just, someone trying to make sense of the chaotic twists and turns in your own life, understanding this framework will permanently change the way you consume media.
It really changes everything. Once the map is revealed, you just cannot unsee it.
You start seeing the underlying architecture everywhere.
Okay, let's unpack this. We should start by defining exactly what the hero's journey is, just establishing that baseline framework before we figure out why it exists or why it's so controversial.
Right, we need to look at the map itself.
And the way this concept has permeated our modern internet culture is just wild. In our sources, there is a very popular Wikipedia diagram that visualizes all the steps of the journey.
It's the one everyone uses in high school English class, right?
Exactly that one. But if you dig into the metadata for that specific image file, the history shows it was actually redrawn by a Wikipedia user from an anonymous post on the internet message board 4chan.
What's fascinating here is how perfectly that illustrates Campbell's reach. I mean, an academic concept from a 1949 comparative mythology book has completely saturated our collective consciousness.
It's literally everywhere.
Because internet culture loves categorization. It thrives on making order out of chaos. And that is exactly what Campbell offered a way to categorize human experience.
So looking at this diagram, Campbell argues the monomyth operates on a core nuclear unit. Basically 3 massive acts: separation, initiation, and return.
And within those massive acts, you have the specific stages.
Right, like you start in the normal world, you receive a call to adventure, maybe you experience a refusal of the call, you get some supernatural aid, and then you face the threshold crossing.
And that threshold crossing is huge. It's the point of no return. It leads directly into what Campbell vividly calls the belly of the whale.
The belly of the whale. That is such a visceral name. It makes me think of just being entirely swallowed up by a massive life change.
That's exactly it. It's that period where the old you is dead, but the new you hasn't really been born yet.
Wow. And then from there, the map lists the road of trials and eventually a stage called apotheosis. Wait, apotheosis literally means becoming godlike, right?
It does, yeah.
So how does that work for a normal human protagonist? I mean, they don't literally become gods.
Well, in Campbell's framework, it means transcending the duality of the normal world. The hero reaches the state of divine knowledge or enlightenment.
So it's more of a mental shift.
Exactly. They realize that love and hate, life and death, they are all just part of the same cosmic dance. And once they achieve that psychological breakthrough, they secure the ultimate boon.
Which is like the elixir or the magic sword.
Right. And then they begin the magic flight back to the normal world to deliver that boon to society.
It honestly looks like a GPS route for human existence. But it makes me wonder, when you look at your own life, like the career changes, the breakups, the personal victories, is this a prescriptive map of what we should do, or is it a descriptive map of what humans already do?
Well, Campbell argued it was entirely descriptive. He didn't just invent these steps out of thin air.
He found them out in the world, right?
Yeah, he synthesized them by looking at global myths. He proposed that whether you are reading a Greek epic or observing a tribal rite of passage, the underlying architecture is universally identical.
But why? Why would completely disconnected cultures tell the exact same story?
Because, according to him, these stories are spontaneous productions of the human psyche.
Okay, that logic moves us from the external structure of a narrative right into the internal labyrinth of human psychology.
It's all about the subconscious. Campbell's core thesis here is that myths are depersonalized dreams, and dreams are personalized myths.
Wait, so are dreams just random neurons firing, or are they structured narratives trying to teach us something?
He draws heavily on early psychoanalysis to say they are absolutely trying to teach us something. The premise is that the human subconscious is constantly trying to communicate with our waking minds.
By sending up those odd, surreal symbols and terrors?
Yes, exactly. The mythic realm isn't some distant historical era. It is a psychological reality that every single person carries inside them right now.
That makes the subconscious sound like a dark, cluttered basement where we hide our personal monsters.
But it's also where we keep the vital tools we need to fix the house. Let's look at the modern dream examples from the source material.
Oh, right. There's an account of a man dreaming he is reshingling a roof.
Yes. He hears his father calling from below, he drops his hammer, and the hammer hits his father, killing him.
Which is incredibly dark.
Yeah.
And then he climbs down, crying, and his mother comes out, hugs him, and says, "Never mind, I know you will take care of me."
Right, so psychoanalytically, it's a profoundly literal manifestation of the Oedipus complex.
So the infantile desire to replace the father and monopolize the mother's affection is just playing out through mundane home repair imagery.
Exactly. The subconscious is using the daily materials of this guy's life to process deep primal drives.
There's another dream in the book, too. A married woman dreams a big white horse is following her around.
And she tells it to go into a barber shop and shave its mane. Right?
He comes out looking like a man, but it still has horse hooves and a horse face, and it just keeps following her.
So the psychological interpretation here is that the horse represents repressed desires. It's this animalistic, untamed instinct.
And she's trying to dress it up and civilize it by sending it to the barber.
Right, but she hasn't actually integrated it into her conscious life.
Right.
By trying to force this potent psychological power into a polite human shape, she is ignoring the wild energy she actually needs to cross her own threshold.
Wow. And didn't the outline mention a third dream, too? The one with the muddy open sewer?
Oh, yes. A woman dreams she is trying to cross a muddy open sewer to get to a clear river, and she uses a small wooden box given to her by a helper.
What does the box mean in that context?
It symbolizes Pandora's box, or hope. It represents the soul's high adventure, navigating through the filth of life to reach clarity.
But we clearly need help navigating all that. We need the helper.
We do. Campbell points to psychoanalysts acting as modern mystagogues, basically wise old men or women who guide patients through the psychological rites of passage they failed to complete in the real world.
Because without societal rituals to force us into the next stage of life, modern people just get stuck, right?
Completely stuck in infantile fixations.
Yeah.
Campbell references the Murjan tribe in Australia to show how severe these rituals used to be.
Oh, the circumcision ritual, where the boys are told the Great Father Snake is bellowing for their foreskin.
Yeah, it's intense.
The idea that a tribe tells boys a giant snake is bellowing for their flesh that isn't just a campfire story, that sounds like engineered psychological trauma.
It is entirely engineered. It forces a radical, terrifying severance from infantile attachments and the safety of the mother.
So we literally need the belly of the whale to force us to grow up.
Yes. Without a visceral experience like that, we remain locked in psychological infancy. The trauma provides the psychic energy needed to push the individual forward.
Okay, so if these stories and rituals are biologically necessary for our psychological survival, what happens when you strip away someone's ability to tell them? Do they just shut down?
They absolutely don't. And Clarissa Pinkola Estes tackles this directly in her introduction to the book.
She shares accounts of humans and severe extremists, right? Life-threatening situations.
Exactly. She observes that even when the physical means of sharing are completely disassembled by oppressive forces, the human spirit finds a mechanism. The drive to share narratives kicks in like an immune response.
Like prisoners communicating via pantomime in silent corridors, or writing short stories in letters that are flushed down one toilet and retrieved from another.
Because the story must escape. It reminds me of the ancient tale she mentions, The King with the Ears of an Ass.
Oh, I love that one. The king has donkey ears and forces his barber to keep it a secret under threat of death.
But the barber is so burdened by holding this secret that he digs a hole by the river, whispers the secret into the dirt, and covers it up.
But the earth cannot hold it. Reeds grow from that very dirt.
Right. And when local shepherds cut those reeds to make flutes, the flutes magically sing out the secret: the king has the ears of an ass.
Proving that you just cannot bury the human experience indefinitely.
We see that same unstoppable drive in the story Estes shares about the Romanian women during the Ceausescu regime.
That government systematically destroyed their traditional farming villages, right? They relocated everyone into drab concrete blocks with these tiny sinks.
Yes, and in doing so, they took away the communal river, which was where the women traditionally gathered to wash clothes, process their grief, and tell stories.
They lost their communal sanity check mechanism.
They lost the physical geography of their culture, but they recreated the river psychologically. They gathered in a tiny living room to sew clothes, and while they sewed, they shared the old tales.
The physical river was paved over with concrete, but the psychic river flowed right through that living room.
It's not just under totalitarian regimes either. She mentions the Mickey D's Good Guys Club in Chicago.
Oh, right. The grizzled old union drivers gathering at a McDonald's to discuss the world's woes and offer heroic solutions.
Here's where it gets really interesting. It's like a biological imperative, comparing human storytelling to shivering to stay warm.
Yes, it's something we automatically do to survive the coldness of life.
Estes connects this to the concept of tikkun olam in action.
Break that down for me. How does telling a story actually relate to tikkun olam?
Tikkun olam is the repair of the world's soul. The idea is that by fixing the inner psychological world through story, we actually repair the outer world.
That is beautifully illustrated by the 11th century Persian tale. Estes includes the Conference of the Birds.
1,000 birds set out to find the Simorgh, the Great One.
But they endure grueling, deadly valleys, and only 30 birds survive the journey.
And the twist at the end is linguistic. Simorgh literally means 30 birds. The treasure they were searching for was their own collective perseverance.
So if storytelling is our survival mechanism, what is the ultimate lesson these stories are trying to teach us? I mean, what are we repairing?
According to Campbell, the specific moral function of the monomyth is the defeat of the ego.
Moving from the tyrant to the hero.
Exactly. He uses the story of King Minos to illustrate the tyrant. Minos prayed for a white bull from Poseidon as a sign of his right to rule.
And Poseidon sent it, but Minos kept it for himself instead of sacrificing it back to the god.
Yes, he becomes the tyrant holdfast, the egocentric hoarder. And the punishment is that his wife gives birth to the Minotaur, and Daedalus has to build the labyrinth to hide it.
So the monster is a direct symptom of his inflated ego.
Exactly. The hero, Theseus, is the one who submits to the greater good, guided by Daedalus's thread to defeat it.
Contrast that hoarding mentality with Gautama Buddha's enlightenment. Sitting under the bo tree, he is attacked by Kamamara, the god of love and death.
And Kamamara unleashes absolute chaos, whirlwinds, rocks, and his daughter's desire, pining, and the lust.
But the Buddha doesn't fight back with a magic sword. He simply touches the ground, the earth roars, and the ego is defeated.
Because fighting ego with more ego just creates a larger monster.
And we see it with Moses on Mount Sinai too, right?
Yes. Thunder, lightning, and 22,000 angels representing another world-altering boon brought back to society. The terror strips away the individual self.
But why does the hero have to suffer? Why can't they just, find the magic sword on a sunny wall?
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, the suffering is the shedding of the infantile ego. The hero's true victory isn't physical. It's a moral and psychological surrender to a larger universal truth.
Okay, but if this monomyth is the ultimate psychological and moral truth, why do modern scholars absolutely despise it?
We have to pivot to the harsh, modern academic critique here.
Because the folklorists are not holding back. Gina Jorgensen wrote a fiercely critical blog post arguing that Campbell uses half-baked Jungian concepts.
And completely ignores the cultural context of the stories.
She points out the danger of Campbell's flattening effect. It's like, by claiming all stories are the same, Western audiences just project their own culture onto others.
Exactly, erasing what makes those cultures unique.
It's like using a universal power adapter. It's convenient for the traveler, but if you ignore the specific voltage of the local culture, you end up frying the electronics and missing the point entirely.
That's a perfect analogy. Jorgensen brings up Bard Tolkien's example of the Sun's Myth, a Native American story.
Where the seeker's egotistical actions actually destroy the culture, right?
Yes, which directly contradicts Campbell's mold of the stabilizing hero. So Campbell just leaves stories like that out entirely.
The sources also mention Marie Mitsuki Maket and Hayao Kawai's observations about Japanese fairy tales.
Right. They point out that Japanese fairy tales don't conform to Western structures of emotional engagement or resolution.
They aren't about slaying the dragon. Sometimes they are just about enduring sorrow.
Jorgensen also critiques Carl Jung's influence on Campbell, specifically his ethnocentric claim that every culture must have a Christ child archetype.
Now, we're just reporting her viewpoint here impartially, obviously, but she argues that projecting Western concepts onto indigenous myths is incredibly dangerous scholarship.
It forces you to treat the actual diverse people telling the stories as an inconvenient intrusion on your neat diagram.
So what does this all mean?
This raises an important question about how we consume media today. Jorgensen admits Campbell's work is a great gateway drug to mythology.
But assuming it is the only way a story works, deprives us of the vast, varied tapestry of human experience.
Exactly. We have to balance the beauty of the hero's journey as a psychological tool against the folklorist's warning.
We must respect the unique cultural fingerprints of stories that just don't fit the mold.
Because growth looks radically different depending on the soil it is planted in.
So, to our listeners, look at the media you consume this week, and even the way you view your own career or life struggles. Ask yourself if you are forcing it into a Campbellian box.
Are you waiting for a triumphant return when maybe the story is about enduring or community?
Exactly. Which leaves us with a final lingering question. If you strip away the hero's journey template from your own life, if you strip it away, what other completely different kind of story might you actually be living right now?
It's a profound thought.
And who gets to decide what your happy ending looks like?